the music going. Try that. Have what I need. All right. Okay. All right. It's always hard. Especially when things don't work. Stop not working. I just feel like in the last couple years, it just feels like it's a the dystopian realities are really settling in. I'm like, okay. Perfectly functional keyboard commands that have always worked now don't work. That's good. Yeah, we don't need those to work. And it's like, why do this? Why, like, I don't want to use two browsers, but now I have to, right? Okay. You know, if I have to do it this way, I'm going to do it this way. Hey, Danny, what's up? We're gonna be doing this. We're gonna be doing this because it's in my brain a little bit. It's gonna be Princess Mononoke. Now, sort of typical of like Studio Ghibli films, there's a certain weirdness around like, wait, what is it called? Because her name is not Princess Mononoke. Like, that's not her name that she calls herself, for instance. She's known as San, which is, I don't know what that means. And maybe there's an explanation in the in the movie or the show, but you know, I'm here to learn, but also we don't need to know everything. There's a lot to the story, which is... I was ready to chalk it up to sort of bad translation or dubbing or whatever, or editing. It if you've never seen... Yeah, if you've never seen this movie, it's worth checking out. Oh, okay. Thank you for letting me know, Twilight Farmer Boy or Donald. YouTube chat not working is odd, but I see it here. Princess Mononoke and Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. They're worth seeing just for their cultural impact and the music itself. There are some action scenes in Princess Mononoke that are amazing. But it was a little heavy-handed. You know, I'm not so in love with Ghibli that I can't be critical of some of their things. I liked Spirited Away. I didn't like Howl's Moving Castle. I didn't get it. Maybe it was me. I didn't get Howl's Moving Castle. Porco Rosso. People love Porco Rosso. I like it. I don't love it. My Neighbor Totoro. I've seen it 3 times. I never remember it. I sort of fades. They're all like dreamlike films, you know. I'm just trying to get a decent reference for San here. But it's tricky because some of this stuff is like AI corrupted, which we don't want, or fan art itself, which I'm not saying that's bad. It's just here. This is not what I'll be drawing, but it won't be like this person's sincere efforts are taken with appreciation. Down here we have stuff that I wonder if it's AI. You know, it's impossible to tell these days, for sure. And before it leaves its indelible mark, we must leave ours. Here, this is decent. I just want the actual media art. I want to know what she looks like in the show. She didn't waver that much. This is good stuff. The story is good. It's not, it's about sacrifice. It's about humanity. It's about nature. It's a lot of the same themes as Nausicaa, actually. Right. Yeah. I'm not gonna necessarily do the like insane blood smear. I thought that was excessive, but it was appropriate for the movie. But it's like it's not the It's a little bit like. Like she sucks the blood out of the wound of like her mother wolf or something like that. You know, we never really get much satisfaction as to like, yo, give us a little backstory. It's like, no, you get no backstory. It's like, okay, I guess, you know, then she's just a girl and she's mad. You know, tell us something. Where's she from? You know, what's the deal? You know, you can. My thing is that like. They had the ability to write this a little bit better than they did. They totally could have solved any unresolved little bits via just sort of slightly better, right? Like, it didn't have to be much better. It just had to be slightly better. It was just sort of like, okay, just leave it on the table. Everything's a mystery. You know, why does humanity hate the animals? No time to explain. We just have to kill each other. You know, it's just like, okay. You know, in Nausicaa, there was the Great War, there was like all these things, you know, they took the time to explain that like she's the last surviving daughter of a dying kingdom that was a refugee from a war, you know, all this stuff. You know, it made sense, like with all the context. You know, she's passionate about saving her father, searching for natural cures, the only cures available. She turns to the forest where things are deadly, yet they hold mystery. They hold potential. You know, she's unafraid of death, being surrounded from it her entire life. And so she is willing to risk and sacrifice. She understands that everything is about sacrifice. And, and then it just carries through the entire concept, leading by example. And then, Princess Mononoke comes along, and it's just a bunch of, like, I'm an unstoppable force, I'm a movable object. And they're just sort of, like, clanking heads the entire time. And I just don't feel like anybody learns anything. And I'm not sympathetic, as I could be, to any one character. Like, the synthesis never really happens. And you never really get the sense that, despite being love interest, Ashitaka and San ever get together. They don't really feel like they do that, Maybe I'm wrong. I saw it when I was 16. Yeah, it's a long time ago. Yeah, I saw it in theaters. My girlfriend, it's like love, all that stuff. It was real. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna make a new thing. Sorry, I'm gonna be putzing along here for a little bit, but we'll get there. Also, I've been hydrating, let's say, today, so I might have to take a couple bathroom breaks, but there's nothing wrong with that. We don't have to knock this out, not in a rush, but on the plus side, I don't have to actually pick up my kids until about 4:20, so that's good 3.5 hours. That's a long time. We'll see how far we get. You guys will probably have to go before I do. Yeah, no, trust me, Donald, there was no... Young Max did not, could not... There were no missed romantic opportunities. Young Max had the ability to attract the spicy ones. Despite the impression I might give off now, my younger days, it was not a revenge of the nerds kind of situation. I was mostly had a good time when I was a teenager. It was not as fun when I was in my 20s, early 20s, when once everybody sort of quote unquote left for college and stuff like that, and I didn't. I was left behind because I didn't go to art school and I didn't go to college, and it was tricky. It was a sad and lonely time for me. Okay. Like, this is a good reference for her, but that doesn't necessarily... I can't tell if that's official art. It could be, but it's, that's not the look. A little closer. I always thought it was interesting. We had the link with the corrupted hand, whatever, right? And then Prince Ashitaka had the same thing, right? We all know this. See, this is me. I'm like Prince Ashitaka. Like, I recognize the corruption of like the AI stuff. I was, I consulted with the village elders, and they were like, this power will spread and corrupt all that we know, and you know, destroy everything that we hold important. It's like you must go and you must sacrifice yourself to be the you know, it's not the perfect analogy because I'm like I'm not corrupted in my hands or anything like that, but it is real. When I think of AI now, I think of it kind of like as pollution. It is not it's not enough to just simply say it's like cheating, because it's hurting. There are so many negative externalities, and not even like literal like pollution, even though it does create pollution. It's like information pollution. It's just like multiple instantiations of like negative effects that affect you maybe a little, but affect other people a lot. It's like something that like, oh, it's like I'll litter. It won't affect me, but it affects your kids, you know, and your grandchildren. And it's like you don't feel that necessarily. You don't see it, but like it does, you know. Oh yeah, it was sort of like also the sort of like the dark side, right? It was like it represented, what was it? Like hate, you know? I don't. They didn't do a great job of explaining it. I mean, it's open for interpretation or whatever, but like, this is still from the movie. People talking Breath in the Wild. Okay, people do talk about it. Yeah, I think these are good references. So where we previously had Nausicaa, is this the one? No. There we go. Jeepers. Come on. Sorry, hold on. Yeah, okay. So it's kind of a subtle difference, but here we have Nausicaa sort of giving like the oh god, how do I, where's my camera? Okay, so it's like one of those. I don't know if I'm doing it right, you know. How do I make myself look like a pretty girl? So that's like tilted up. This time we'll do like a little tilted down. And facing the other way. Makes sense? We'll take it as far as we can in black and white until I pick up my kids, and then that'll be that. Oh man, I already have to pee. Okay, I am sorry, but it'll be better for me to do this now than for me to do it in like 10 minutes. Pee. Ing. Bareback. I see you guys chatting like you want to be permabanned. Well, we can all be redeemed. Here we go. All right, and so this is a very it's quite simple. It's really just that scene where they first like see each other. So it is like this scene. Hold on. Take a I probably tried not to steal the image. Let's see here. These are all great. Gosh. Yeah, are you guys familiar with the concept of the Mary Sue? Do you guys know what I mean by Mary Sue? And it's the Mary Sue, it's sort of like referred to almost in a way that is like, sometimes people use it in a misogynistic way, and which I understand, and it's certainly not a I certainly don't mean it that way, because you can have male Mary Sue characters, and for instance, I think of like Superman as a Mary Sue, and and Prince Ashitaka is kind of he's like a Mary Sue character. It's just sort of like, I'm perfect, and I'm, and I have the answer for everything. And it's not quite, it's the problem with Mary Sue's is that they're overpowered, and the reason Nausicaa isn't a Mary Sue is because she has already sort of like suffered like intense like sacrifice just being there, and was like, she was not she had a sort of naivete and innocence, as opposed to just being like Sherlock Holmes and Batman and Superman all rolled into one, and Luke Skywalker. So many different characters are like Mary Sue's, and unfortunately, like their characters suffer as a result. And I think that was sort of an issue in Princess Mononoke. Like, their characters were just too one-dimensional. For me. For my tastes, they were too one-dimensional. Like, in Nausicaa, there were bad guys, but you had a sense that, like, they still wanted to, like, make peace. It was just like no one knew how to do that anymore, You're not really familiar. I'm not going to add the hat thingy. I think that's... The hat thingy never made sense to me. It's like you're not hiding your identity. Like, no one knows who you are anyway. And it's like, They're like, it's Princess Mononoke, and of course she's wearing a mask, and it's like, dude, your normal face with the crazy makeup is scarier than your mask. Like, what is the thing? What is this supposed to be? You know? It just, there were contrivances that I understand that they have to do something different, and maybe some things just got lost in production along the way. But it could have been better. Princess Mononoke could have been better. Music is great, though. Love it. And I love the film. I really do. It's just sort of... I get frustrated when I see potential left on the table. It's like, why don't you just objectively make the change that is obvious, right? And maybe it's not always obvious. Movie time with Max, yeah. Yeah, if you type in Mary Sue into Google, you'll see things that explain it as like a trope, right? Okay, I can do that real quick. And then we'll draw. Mary Sue. A Mary Sue is a type of fictional character, typically a female, although I often have more problems with male Mary Sues. Typically a female who's unrealistically perfect, powerful, and lacking in flaws or weaknesses, often serving as a power fantasy for the author. Interesting. Coined in 1970 Star Trek fandom to describe overly idealized author-insert characters, the pejorative term is now widely used in communities to criticize characters who are too good to be true, receive constant validation from the plot, and are ultimately bland and boring due to their unrealistic perfection. The character is exceptionally skilled, beautiful, smart, and desirable, often possessing talents they haven't earned or even practiced. Lack of flaws. Any perceived flaws are shallow and don't hinder their mission or personal goals, making them unrelatable and flat. Often idealized version of the author. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway. Anyway, I bring it up. It's important. Your characters have to have flaws. They have to have issues. And yes, Prince Ashitaka had the corruption in his hand. That's not enough. Not enough for me. What did it do? Looking back, what did it do other than give him superpowers? Like, it's not enough. It got him expelled from his village. Didn't really feel that much of a issue moving forward. He was permabanned, yeah, but it was like he was also just like so insanely stoic and dutiful to his mission of like being the perfect prince and protecting his village that like he didn't give it a second thought. You never even like had a tinge of regret or whatever. And then the next scene, he's like fucking like blasting the heads off bad guys. It was fucking awesome, you know? Listen, I'm all about like most of Princess Mononoke. It's just some of the tiny stuff. They really could have just been like, take a moment to have them like do something they weren't supposed to, you know, or something, you know? Like, how hard would it have been? You know, they never really get together, right? He just says, like, in a moment of weakness, he's like, you're beautiful, you know? And then it's like, that's their emotional moment, right? But that's, you know... She could have sucked the blood out of him. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say stuff like that. Suck the poison out. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Never mind. Listen, that's getting edited out. Alright. Alright. Yeah, he takes a bullet for her, and then she has to... Wait, I think they did something like that. They were so close. All right, listen, we're done. let's keep that head, but let's crank it over just a little bit. They give them really skinny necks. That's normal for anime. I just have to sort of assess to what extent I honor that. They give her a really, and it's hard to call that a bob, but I guess that they call it a bob haircut. The ears have to be high. If the angle of the head is like that, the ears have to be higher. When I do proportions, I think this bears out in most of my drawings. Because I try not to waver too much. I draw the egg for the head. And then the line I draw, obviously this is the medial line, up and down. That's just in the middle. So like the point of symmetry, right? And then well, maybe this is the medial line or the transverse line. I don't know. But it is, it's this line where this is like the eye line. So you have like eyeballs there, right? And then it's a little tricky. It's like bottom. You have to divide the head into thirds. And it's weird. I don't know why I just sort of always eyeball it, but this is like hairline. That's eyebrows. That's the nose, and that's the bottom of the chin, right? So when I draw the stuff, it'll go along those lines. But I don't like using those lines, like, to find my way. Because I don't necessarily need them like that. Just make sure we do lots of saving on the way. If your head is tilted down, right, your eye line and your head, then your ears have to like sort of rise up in the back. That's why I'm accentuating that. You know, and this is just soft, right? We're not necessarily making permanent decisions. Like when you assemble an IKEA a piece of IKEA furniture, you don't tighten everything in the first moment. You have to wait. There's a cool scene in the movie where like her like earrings are actually kind of flipped up in like a kind of moment of still action, and maybe we should see if we can get some of that going. Kind of like we did with Nausicaa. It was less critical then, but it was still effective. So Danny, cartoons have to have their own proportions. My proportions that I'm using here are like consistent with what I would say are realistic. Yeah, in the movie they have like an audio cue where they like go ting, you know, to like highlight her spidey sense in the moment, or her like, you know, and she had like the hair on the back of her neck was like picking up. Don't need her ears to be huge. And I'm okay with like having tension in this, whereas like Nausicaa, where we have her here, like here she's like, this is after the entire story is done and she's just like completely relaxed, you know, and she doesn't have any strength to like really smile, but you can tell that she's happy, you know. And like even her little animal friend is like mostly relaxed, maybe a little bit on guard, but mostly relaxed. It's like the animal with no power is like sort of being like, I'll protect you, and then it like falls asleep. This is okay, so this is a tricky thing. Like the thing that is around her head, depending on the angle of her head, it also points up or it points down, right? We can see three different examples here. Here it points down, here it points up, and here it points down. I think given those inputs, we can assume that pointing down is correct, right? So we'll sort of just loosely indicate a little path. Maybe that's too low. Pointing down. But that's a thing that people can make mistakes on. They'll be like, oh, I'll draw this, and they'll draw it, but they'll follow the reference. And the reference is at a different angle than their pose. And then it ends up pointing in the wrong direction, but it'll look like it's pointing in the right direction compared to the reference. So how do you make a choice? And this will be interesting. Yeah, the eye is going to be a tricky one in this, because it's, again, this is like, you know, we're going from this, which is great, but different vibe. Very different vibe. This is like, I want to kill you kind of look. I still want you, I still want to hypnotize you, but, you know, then I'm going to kill you kind of look. She's like, you might be gorgeous, but I'm going to kill you. If you aren't careful. I should get myself a curse if I understood you. Just joking, won't mention it again. A curse. I'm not sure if I understand, but yeah. No, but the something was sucking or something, yeah. Suck the curse out, yeah. I think I just need the eyebrows a little bit lower. There was... It's not like women don't look at me anymore, but they don't, there's a certain sweet spot where, these days it's more like the older women looking at me, but the, when I was younger, it was the, it was people more like at my age. Being being like, I'm going to hypnotize that guy from across the street and make him fall in love with me. It'll be very similar style to the Nausicaa. By intention. I don't want to, I liked how that looked in the final... I don't know if I ever quite said, but the Nausicaa was well received. It just wasn't well seen. Those are like different metrics. And if something is well seen but not well received, that's bad. That's definitely bad. It was well received on the Ghibli subreddit, but not well seen. If you understand the difference. And I do, and it was I was happy for the compliments it received, but not for the it deserved more visibility than it got. Just be a little low. Move some things over. Oop. Sorry, I'm gonna flip the canvas. Okay, not bad. I really want her to have wild eyes. Hey. Infernal, that's right. It's good to see you. Since when did you stream on both platforms? It's sort of somewhat new. It's been a while. I hope you're well. I'm not trying to pick sides or anything like that. It's nothing controversial. It's just I'm just experimenting. I like those eyes. Look at these eyes. You know? It's kind of it. The rest is all messed up. Oh, good. Okay. I'm glad to hear. Glad to hear. I've been compiling speed paint edits, as you suggested a long time ago. And you've changed your name somewhat, but and I can't recall if I ever knew your real name, but I'm gonna refer you to as InferX, and they were a good sort of like, hey, you should do this differently, kind of. It's like good, you're doing good, except for all these other things, kind of an influence, like everybody else. If you want to, the Discord link is down there and it's active, and I think you're actually in it or not, but don't worry about it either way. It's cool to see you. I'm slowly each day I become a little bit more famous. You'll be happy to hear. You should follow me on like TikTok and all that stuff, you know. It's many such cases of newness, new things happening. The look that like I want in her eyes is this kind of like, I don't know. It's just one of those things that like you have to be a married man, I think, to understand. But sometimes you'll make a comment that is innocent, and your wife will be like, "What the fuck did you just say?" You know, and we're like, "Whoa, whoops." It's like you don't know it, but you just like marked yourself for death, and it's like when your significant other is all out of fucks to give, they will shoot you with a look of death. She's like, all pretense of me being satisfied with you in our relationship are out the window. No, that's a joke, but it is a. But just like I've seen the like I love you from afar kind of look, the I'm going to kill you and then I'll learn your name kind of look. I've had that too. It's a little bit of like, I guess we found this human sacrifice tonight. Yeah. No, I can't, I can't be trusted even to load the dishes correctly. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm trying not to stagnate. I'm trying different things. I'm definitely not I'm not insistent on like, oh, things have to be one certain way or whatever. Like I never thought I'd join TikTok, and then I was like, well, let's see. And then I was like, oh fuck, people here actually seem to appreciate, you know, artistic progress and speed paints and stuff like that. I think I'm losing this one a little bit. This one is definitely... There's just like with the Nausicaa art. Oh, Inferno. Um, you have to check out this piece. Did you see this yet? This was the latest one. So, if you've seen Nausicaa. Since I'm not drawing the current one very well, I'll show you the other one that I did that I was pretty happy with. It turned out good. It was a struggle. It was a struggle. It was I've removed the necessity for myself to finish everything on stream. These days I've decided it's enough just to simply, it's like if I just concentrate on starting everything on stream, so at least like it can kind of feel like everything is like we can see where the ideas initially come from. That might be enough. Okay. I feel like this is getting there a little bit. And you can see where I'm like struggling with like lip placement and stuff. And a lot of that is due to the how do we synthesize anime with like structural realism, if not realism? Because it's not necessarily realism I'm trying to do, but like something that can feel like it can have a lighting effect, right? Something that is a cartoon, and even a cel-shaded one, can't have real lit effects, right? Hey, Sextra. I have way more fun drawing the sketches than actually drawing. You can't remember your Twitch account? Oh, that's funny. Was it Infernal Reaps or something like that? I don't mind people having multiple like accounts and or like changing names, but like I have a memory that's better for it's sort of semi-realism. I'm trying to go for something that feels like it's not real, but it's adjacent to real, right? Like a cartoon is not adjacent to real the same way that like there's like like How to Train Your Dragon remake is more adjacent to real, even though it's still a CG animated film. It's just got live action actors in it or something like that. Semi-realism or something like that. Do you guys, again, I'm not meaning it in a misogynistic way, but you know what the term crazy eyes? Sometimes I meet people who are, like, the other day at the party I was throwing, this guy showed up and he was tripping balls, is the technical term. And he just had eyes like this. You know, we'll do it big style. It was like this. You know. And it's like, that's a lot. That's a lot of eyeball to see. You're essentially seeing the person's brain, right? Crazy Eyes isn't a girl thing, but when you, like... So Crazy Eyes was literally a character in Orange is the New Black. So, kind of. Great character, though, you know. But like Wild Eyes, maybe. Oh, God, what is all this? You know, just something that feels feral. You know, some of us can speak from experience. We're all animals, okay? The I give off crazy eyes too when I'm pissed off enough. It's not I kind of just mean like the eyes are wide, but you also see the tension. So it's like, can I do this right? Okay, it's like this. It's like, I don't know if I did that right. It's like a don't fuck with me kind of look, right? And she's doing it well here, I think, like right here. Not, this is not the, she's a little squinty here. But like if you can see the tension and the wideness, the whiteness. It's like all the eyeball. It's sort of like, it's this sort of like look at my eyes kind of thing. You don't want to fuck with me kind of look. this is something where I always I consistently run into it where it's like, oh shit, the exact pupil placement fucking ends up mattering. And it needs to be in the right spot. So then I have to you know, and it's like, gosh, what is the should pupils get big or small? Like, if you're wild, I think they get big. That'll help me, because I need... Because the tiny pupils were very complicated. Well, small pupils are there for intensity, but let me tell you something. I had a cat. It's this one, the black one. And when she was using her imagination, her pupil, her eyes would almost like dissociate, so she just saw everything. And then her pupils were big. They were really big. Even if, like, it wasn't dark, right? So I'm not sure if I 100% agree, but I also... Big pupils for love? Alright, I dig that. I think they show some vulnerability, but also... Luckily, pupils are easily fixed. You know, it doesn't have to be a life sentence. We could try it both ways, but... I feel like that eyeballs are in the general right place, so I can stop noodling it so much right now. That's the good news. So just getting the art to this part is sometimes the hardest fucking part. And I know everybody knows that from watching my streams. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make it look like she, yeah, there it goes. So it's like she just sat up and, like, saw you. And we'll even, like, lift up the necklace a little bit. Right? It's like she could have just, like, turned. Okay, the real Infer X. All right, there we go. And there's your Twitch. There you go. All right, that makes sense. So what's crazy? So you're, like, getting ready for college. I think the last time we talked, like, you were in high school or something like that. So this is why it's like I'm like, I trip out sometimes. I'm like, I feel like I just started streaming, but it's actually been, like, going on closer to 3 years now. So whereas, like, previously I would have been like, no Discord for you. I'm like, well, now you probably can just join the Discord. But also, don't, because it doesn't matter. But also, if you want to. If you're making art, like, that's where we tend to show it. Fortunately, not my old Twitch. Yeah, but the last time we spoke was ages ago. I was your 20th subscriber. Oh, wow. Yeah. I appreciate every subscriber, even now, are, like, hard fought. I'm not gonna say it's gotten any easier. Those were the easy days. Those were the newbie gains. The old days, yeah. I mostly feel like I've sorted out my audio issues since then. But you would probably know better than me. It should hopefully feel closer to good. What I'm not sure about, what is still new, is definitely the dual stream or the multi stream. I have no idea if like that's working the way it probably should or shouldn't, but I'm gonna switch the music in a second. Not to something radically different, but I think it feels like it's repeating, and it's not my intention. I don't know if this music hasn't been properly vetted for like streaming. So while it's like obviously the stream is still going, but if it's not allowable on YouTube, I don't want it to be the only thing that we're listening to. She's like sizing him up. She's like, should I kill you or should I just wound you and then ask you why shouldn't I kill you? You know what I mean? It's like, I know I'm going to hurt you. The only degree is how much. It's like, you're gonna regret this. The only question is for how long. Alright, very happy with how this is looking so far. Oh yeah, I should probably check if the copyrighted first. I mean, my general sense of things is that and this is sort of borne out, is that the fan music of established IPs are not really copyright enforced. Sort of operating in a legal gray area. That I'm happy for them and happy for me because it helps me. This person is goated, but yeah, they're doing covers, and covers are sort of legally gray. Sort of like my art here is like legally gray. This is for entertainment purposes. Oh, sorry, education purposes only, as you understand. And they would probably say the same thing. All right, let's pick a different one. Yeah, because this is just repeating. We got to go find a different. Be no end of. But not the same one that we were listening to before. This is similar but different. Ghibli and Chill. It would be cool if I could achieve a kind of dappled light effect. Do you guys kind of see in this image? Oop. We have, there's a lighting effect here that is, interesting. Now, the shadows coming from her hood, or possibly, but it, I like the idea of her feeling like she was in cover and then feeling exposed. Yeah? It's interesting. I've almost given her too much hair. I need to make sure I don't over-index on that. Her hair is shorter than her earrings, for instance. Right? Yeah, the shadow could be coming from the tree above her. I think, like, instinctually, it's like her character, like, just sort of seeks the shadows. And she also sort of, like, it looks like she gives herself her own haircuts, right? So we don't have to feel like there couldn't be, like, one or two hairs that could be long. The one of the hardest things is like the fact that all anime seems to have pupils that are or not pupils, but like the eyes are like this, right? They've got these like Sonic the Hedgehog eyes, right? Those like raisins. Beautiful and expressive and all that, but like when you sort of make them a little more normal, you lose so much, right? It doesn't engage the imagination in the same way. This is from Princess Mononoke, exactly. So I'm not, like, sort of trying to purposefully enter my Ghibli arc. It's just, it feels so at hand right now, having done the Nausicaa one. It's like, why don't I just do it? Right? And have a little bit of something that feels like a theme and contrast. Because I don't want this to be like, oh yeah, I did this, but it's just a one-off. Like... if I can, I want there to be a demonstrable sense of like not a reproducibility, but like a consistency. I'll level with you guys. It's like I could use like a commission right now. The whole sort of like the work that I do and commercial and entertainment space not feeling sustainable. It's that same way right now. It didn't actually get any better since the last time I've talked about it. It's disconcerting for me. I need things to be... I need small nibbly projects to work on in between the big chompy ones, you know, that fill my belly. I need the light snacks as well as the big... It's frustrating, yeah. I don't have, you know, I have an agent that feeds me gigs, but, like, when the industry itself is just sort of topsy-turvy and my own clients can barely keep their lights on, like, you know, I'm sure you all have, like, seen in the news, like, Microsoft laying off hundreds of people, EA, Activision, Blizzard laying off hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, Riot laying off hundreds of people. Like, everybody's just laying off people. So it's like projects are getting canceled, stuff that is like... I'm not blaming it all on AI. What I'm blaming it on are sort of tech bros invading the space with fake money. Essentially, it's like... I've heard it sort of compared to, like, colonizing, for instance. So it's like... Not that I don't have, you know, affection for British culture or anything like that, because that's not the case. But, like, if you for instance, invade a country and then get everybody addicted to, say, opium, for instance, and then you control the opium, and then you control everything, and then you take away the opium, and then you take away everything, like, what does that do to the country that you just sort of invaded? Like, if you're gonna come in and improve things and save our butts, like, actually do that. Like, if you don't actually know how to do that, then, like, don't invade, don't give us your weird shit. Like, we don't want any of it. We didn't need it before, and then sort of, like, you convince us, I don't know. It's just like a terrible... the good old-fashioned opium. It's sort of, if you get people addicted to easy money. So, like, with the NFTs and the crypto and stuff, all that was, like, fake easy money. And it was propping up the industry that I sort of work in, like, sort of entertainment, right? How many video games were, like, spinning the metaverse and the crypto angle and then the AI angle? And it's like, no, customers don't actually want that. Well, then, now those companies are like, well, we're out of ideas, so... we don't know how to make money, so everybody's fired. That's what they're like. We're mad at you guys, you the artists, you know. We'll replace you with AI, and customers are like, we don't want that either, you know. And it's sort of like, I'm glad, by and large, like, audiences don't want AI, and I'm so happy about that, because it's like that's the only thing that gives me hope. But at the same time, unless the audiences are willing to, like, fork over, like, cash or whatever, you know, it doesn't have to be tons and tons of cash, but it is a thing where it's like, I'm not sure where we go from here. The pendulum will swing. Projects get greenlit. What gives me hope is K-pop Demon Hunters is, like, a phenomenon that people like my clients will be like, we can reproduce this. We'll give you K-pop Demon Hunters in a commercial, you know, or whatever. And then it looks like they can sell that, and then they'll hire me, you know. But as usual, animation is like leads the people out of the dark, the wandering in the desert. You know, we can find our way afterwards. Commissions are pricey. I don't need, like, pricey commit. Like, I'm doing this for free, you know. It's like, whatever. I'm doing it for the likes, for the lulz, and a little bit of exposure, you know, and just to see if I can grow. And it helps keep me sane. Don't know if I love this music. Try this one out. Oh, by the way, college I picked law, politics, and sociology. Okay, good. Well, fight for the people's rights. I'm glad you're not paying for an overpriced art school education. That would be the thing I'm most glad about. Art will always be there. And I have appreciated your input. I'm glad you're still around. Glad you're still around. Yeah, this is getting the look now. This is the I call this like the germ. This is the part that becomes self-sustaining. This is like to the point where it's like I can put it down and it lives on in my head, and I come back to it and I keep working on it, whatever. I'm still gonna keep working, but this is where I always want to get a piece before I put it down. Were you telling me you did old storyboards for Clash Royale? Have you done anything interesting or proud of recently? Very little I'm proud of. I would say I have done a lot of commercials for like Airbnb that you probably see around. They're animated. They're like 3D animated. They're ubiquitous. That's sort of a good example of a client that I'm grateful that hires me. But I kind of, they're also sort of like in the realm of, is this not that tech bro space? Is this not sort of what I'm worried about in terms of like, is this sustainable? The world of like easy money to throw at artists to solve problems is sort of dried up a bit, at least at the moment. Clients and budgets are just so insanely, like my clients will be like talking to like someone who's about to greenlight their project, and then like the next day they pick up the phone and that person's fired, and like there's no, like the whole department's gone on the other end. And like my client was ready to hire me and a slew of other people, and it's all just gone. Right? And it's like that's the crazy stuff that's just happening. It's like stuff is just like gone in an instant. So meanwhile, it's like part of what I'm getting by right now, like drawing storyboards for burger commercials. Like, I'm not kidding. It's not the end of the world. It's like, it's honest work. It's not tech bros, But it's not my best work, and it's not. I'm not proud of it, and also they're not booking me long enough to make it look beautiful. I make it look as good as I can, but it's not. It's not a long job. Yeah, yeah. Do you have any other talents you could possibly do? I'm fine. Like when I talk about like, oh, business is so bad. Like it's honestly isn't something like. Even if half my business went away, you would still look at like the money I'd make. You'd be like, you're doing fine, man. You just need to cut back on your expenses. And honestly, that is the truth. And also my wife works. Like this is, don't worry about my kids. We're gonna be okay. It's just sort of like, the and it's just not a me thing. It's an industry thing. When the industry feels like it wants to feel better, I'll be among the first to get those new jobs again. So it's just I'm not trying to sound off like a help, or whatever. If anything, it's like I'm doing this because it's like in 10 years from now, when I really don't want to be doing what I'm doing, like I'd rather be teaching, like this helps plant those seeds so I can like make that smooth mesh. Gear that mesh those gears. Yeah, I'm gonna flop this, tackle it from the other end. Still looking good, still needs a little help. She's a little pointy with the chin. We can rectify that. A couple of areas, but but actually, to answer your question more directly, aside from teaching, which I don't have any education credentials at all, so teaching would be a very difficult thing to get into formally. Aside from sort of, I'd have a better chance of becoming a famous internet artist than I would anything else. So that's why I'm sort of giving a stab at this and the fan art thing. You guys can probably see as I'm like iterating on these different slight subtle variations of her face and her like cheek and profile that the slightest differences can throw off the angle, make her and the expression look very different. Personally think you should make online art courses. They do really well and bring reoccurring views and subscriptions. I feel like since you're good at teaching, I feel like I'm bad at teaching, but I will take your I feel like when I teach stuff, like people are like, great advice, Max, and then they like proceed to just go back and do their own thing, and I'm like, that's more important than listening to my advice, is just continue doing what you're doing. But also, like, and I also say that, like, free advice is never taken. So it's like, I'm just saying stuff. No one has to, like, actually copy what I'm doing and like, try to reproduce it or anything like that. That's not even, like, kind of what I'm intending, but, I do try to say things that I feel give me, help. And so if it helps me, then it might help others. And that's probably the extent to which I'm like possibly qualified to give advice or teaching. I will say that I think a great many other teachers who do stuff online are not as good as they could be. And so that does give me pause. And I'm like, okay, well, if they're doing it and they don't know what they're doing, like I'm like, that guy doesn't know what he's doing. But also, he's still doing it. Like, is he making money? Maybe he is. I do a lot of railing against what I think are unscrupulous artistic education practices. I'm not joking. That is a very, very like kind of in the same way that like I can't just be here and like talk about how AI is horrible for everything and then like tomorrow start using AI and be like, hey guys, I changed my mind. It's great. It's like how much respect would I deserve in a moment like that? So similarly, if I'm talking about how it's been a lifelong frustration of mine to like see how many art schools, even popular and quote unquote good art schools, are essentially predatory and essentially sell something that they can't deliver, which is talent, unfortunately. That being the least of which are the obstacles to getting a job. You can't sell talent and you can't sell luck. And those are like the major factors in like getting a foothold in the art industry. You guys know what I mean? If I can do it better than others, then why wouldn't you? Even my wife the other day was like, what if you like made courses or something? And I explained to her that like to the extent to which I'm able to assess, I see a lot of saturation. But also it's sort of like making that leap to educator in a formal way also feels like a road in which like once you go down it, you sort of like don't really come back. It's sort of, it's not, it doesn't actually have to be that way, but I want to jump that way eventually, but not right now. And I guess I'm sort of being my own most critical component here. Like my wife wouldn't like she heard me say that and she's like, yeah, you're just making excuses. But also like it takes time to develop a course. Like by the time I develop the course, work is going to pick up for me theoretically. And then I have no time to administrate it. Right? I think we got the wild eyes achieved. So it makes sense, but again, it's like I'm being my own obstacle to the course. True, but there's tons of rubbish courses. People sell and earn a lot of money from selling. Selling a good one could be very rewarding. Yeah. I'm not against the idea. I'm against the idea of doing it poorly. Which apparently feels like it's the standard. Here, will you give me just a minute? I'm going to be right back. I have to fill up this water bottle with more water. Be right back. So I feel like I have the general sense now. I just have to sort of get some loose line work in there to sort of feel like things are a little bit more shored up. I'm gonna throw in some somewhat random tone in the background just to feel like I'm thinking about it. I want a darker background for this one, I think. Yeah, so just to like sort of reassure a little bit, this isn't like I'm desperate. It's just I do have downtime these days because clients will be like, "We need you, we need you," and it's like, "Darn it, Max, the project got canceled." You know, I'm like, "Okay, you know, whatever. Can't bill you for something we never even started, right?" Um, you know, give me a call on the next one, kind of a thing. But it's been like a pattern with that with my own clients. Essentially, what I'm saying is like I need new clients mostly. I don't want to do different anything different yet. I want to do something different eventually, but not yet. So this is about like me doing this just to keep my skills sharp, plant seeds in social media, see if there's growth and potential and different things, and more or less cultivate a familiarity with myself in the art of drawing and talking at the same time, and demonstrating resilience and optimism. You know, this is the golden age. This is about as good as it gets for like, you want like pure like I did this because I love drawing this. Like this is what it is right now. It's like the Bronze Age for Max's finances. But this will be a rarefied time if all goes according to plan. Eventually I'll be too busy to, you know, best case scenario for me, I'm too busy to do this, right? And the stream goes away and there's no more fun, and you know, I go back to what I was doing before, just sort of living anonymously and drawing for companies that, you know, want me to keep my mouth shut. Yeah, bittersweet. No matter what happens, you're gonna reflect on like what's happening now as like the good old days eventually. That line that pushed her lower eyelid up a bit was immaculate. I'm not really sure if I've done it quite right or wrong compared to what you would prefer. But it is something where, and this is like intrinsic to my process where, and I'm sure to other people's as well, but like I have noticed that like just the thickness of a single pixel sometimes can dramatically change something that can be subtle but important, like the eye line. And because I have been and continue to make that the focal point of the work that I do, it's just not that isn't something I'm willing to sort of be like, it's close enough. I'm like, it has to be really fucking close enough. Like there's a certain amount of like decimal points that NASA corrects their whatever they're like lunar equations for or something like that when they're like being like, okay, how accurate does this have to be in order to like land this thing on the moon? And then they'll calculate it, and then you'll be like, oh, that's only like 4 decimal places. Is that enough? And they'll explain that like that's enough to like split an atom in half, basically, with their calculations. So yes, it's close enough. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's like it does make a difference, but it like you at a certain point like even the atoms wouldn't notice, right? So also there's a fine line here in the like the world of how do we model without shading, right? If I put the highlight there, it feels like it moves the eye. And it's like we have a reference for the design of the character, but the design of the character is not, we're designing all of our own light. We're designing the all of the sense of realism that we're trying to bring to it. We're not going to get any of that from these references. We have to put all that work in ourselves. And so there's a lot of experimenting that needs to happen. These marks on her face, I've always sort of thought of it or assumed it to be intended to be like a kind of like warrior paint or something like that. It's never explicitly explained as far as I can tell. But in the cartoon, you could almost think of them as stickers. Well, in my art, they're not going to be stickers. They have to look like they're going to be painted eventually. So they can't just be like, oh, these are geometric little bits of perfection or like physical things. It's sort of like, what would it look like? Is it war paint? Is it applied roughly? Does she smear it on hastily? Does she make sure it's put on with a degree of care? These are like super abstract earrings. But what are they? Now that I'm drawing them, what are they? Are they shells? Are they stones? Did she make them? Did she steal them off someone's dead body? Are they holy? Are they junk? Like, she has a sword, for instance, right? Or she has a knife. It's like she didn't make the knife. Where did she get it from? She's not like running around waving a club like some primitive, Tarzan type character. It's not like a female Tarzan, right? It would have been interesting in the movie to have like a moment where like she like thought she was by herself, and then like we saw that she like secretly coveted like these human artifacts, It's like she didn't necessarily hate everything the humans were doing. Not everything about the humans, just what they were doing to like her forest or like homeland and stuff like that. Yeah, the hairband does help the whole situation. So, should I have the, let's see here. What other references do we have? Because does she always have this coat on? Let's see. Yeah, she doesn't always have it on. But I think in the scene where she's got the blood on her face, she might. I don't know if we need to be doing that scene. Looks like she's okay taking it off. She has a necklace. Or something. It's interesting. The necklace she's wearing here is not the same as the necklace she's wearing here. I wonder to what extent that matters. And it's interesting, I'm like, should these be teeth? I don't think they're teeth. The things around her neck, these three things. I think they're just sort of like representations of teeth, but just sort of primitively carved out of stone. Like her jewelry just looks like primitive river rocks that are sort of formed to yeah, she kind of identifies as the wolf. You know, we could throw it on her back here and then sort of like kick up some of it here. Yeah, I kind of like that. Yeah, you're starting to like this. Was there any doubt? I mean, I know sometimes I'm like, God, this one is sucking. But I guess, like, in my efforts to sort of, like, lay the groundwork for, like, me eventually being a teacher, I just feel like, for my own sense of integrity, I have to have a demonstrable process that I can be like, listen, these are steps that, you know, you may not feel like you have the skills, you know, at the moment, but, like, I'm taking you through even just the ideation of the thing. Like, starting from very abstract concepts, we can come to something that feels like something that's worth exploring, and then using very tried and true methods, and you know it's got to work because I'm doing it in front of you, right? So it's not like, oh yeah, I did this, except I'm not going to show you the part where I struggle. You have to, that's for you to do. You know, you do the struggle. I hide all that from you. And it's like, no, you can see the struggle, but also how, like, we revert to the principles to, like, sort of dig our way out of it. Like, where do you... I do have a lot of talent, but the but doing my own thing only got me so far. It was really when I sort of like broke down and realized I'm not going to be able to get to those next steps unless I start like trying to do what Glenn Vilppu was doing, for instance, and like learning how to like be comfortable inventing figures on the fly using the methods that he was showing. It's like, I was like, before I saw Glenn Vilppu drawing figures out of his head, I just figured people were making it up and just copying from photographs. And most artists do. They just sort of copy from photographs. And that's not cheating in like a classical sense that I think of it. I think that's fine. You know, you can make your own references. All that is fine. Yeah, there we go. I've got a fun... I should actually show you guys this because it's an awesome plug. Goblin Girl Studios. This is so fun. Oh, she's on Instagram. That's cool. So I actually know this girl. She's amazing. Super talented artist, animator, and like me, when she was like she got laid off from a job, and she was like, well, now what do I do? You know, I'm gonna have to like dig out like a new career for myself. Well, she eventually got the work that she needed.
So,
and it was
contrary
like,
to popular belief, I'm not just a pair of disembodied hands. I have a face and everything.
you know.
I know this is probably gonna.
So
come
this
as
is
a
her.
big shock
But like
to
at one
also-
point, like she busts out the wild eyes, and she's like, ah, you know, because she's funny. You know what I mean? She's doing a different thing. She's sort of doing like crafting, but like setting up dioramas. But like her and her fiance are like a creative duo. So like he's doing music. Her fiance actually works with my wife, which is so it's funny because it's like this sort of he and my wife have the same job, and then like her and I have similar jobs, except our genders are switched. So it's interesting to have that sort of like difference. Also, they're like 10 years younger than us, so it's also a generational bit of a divide. But it's funny because when we hang out together, like we're like, isn't it funny how they do that, you know, or whatever, you know, it's sort of like a fun thing. Anyway, she has a good example of like crazy eyes for one of her characters. Exactly. You want to make allies with this stuff. You don't want to be like their competition or anything like that. I guess so, maybe, but like we're all in competition with ourselves mostly, right? I feel like these crazy eyes are working. They're getting there. Let me flop this one more time. Yeah, this is getting there. This is getting there. Now I want to make sure the eyes have a certain sharpness, and not to be too brain rotty about it, but it's like that, what they call like that canthal tilt or whatever, the you know, that predator eyes. And it's essentially like the far corner of your eye being a little bit higher than the inner corner of your eye. And that isn't something that is like plenty of examples of like incredibly handsome, rich, famous people who have the opposite, for instance. But I think certainly one thing can be said to be a trendy and appropriate reality. You know, and I'm gonna get in there and like kind of with the Nausicaa, like I'll make sure she's like covered in mud and get in there with all like the scars. You know, she's like a wild chick. Every part of her body is gonna look like it. You know, I'll take like a bite out of her ear. You know. Let's really get in there and make it look crazy. You know, but where do we put the scars? Well, we put them where we want them to point to where they look. You know, where we want people to look. So if we do it like that, it goes right up to the eye. Is there wind in her earrings? It's sort of like she's sitting up really quickly. Like she heard you from a distance, and now she's like hyper fixated on you in the distance. And here, I'll do a little bit of let me add a little detail here, and then I'm gonna actually just like get some toning in there. I can even make it look like there's just like this sort of giant mass of fur, you know, right? Like right behind her. Like a wall of fur. Right? And it can be a little subtle, but like that could sort of be like the indication of the giant like wolf mother or like wolf siblings. Right? Those giant forest spirits or whatever. Or her family, her adopted wolf family or whatever. thing. Now, just to separate out the background a little bit better, just roughly select out some of this stuff. Still want that strong silhouette. Anyway, I think the idea right now is to like slow burn the concept of like who's this Max guy? And it's like, yo, I've seen that guy. I've seen his stuff. Like he never misses, you know. It's like I don't know how he does that. You know, I got to check that out. That'll once that's sort of like out there, then I might be. It's like I want some sort of like measurable amount of like demand. It can't just be like, yo, I want to learn what you're doing. It's got to be. We need to get to like. What's that Futurama meme where he's like, shut up and take my money, you know? And it's like, I don't want like money. It's just like, buy me some tacos on the side, right? And it's like, if enough people do that, then it's actually like a decent income, right? And if we do this for too long and nothing really gets traction, then it's like game on for the not safe for work stuff. And when my kids are disappointed, I'll be like, well, kiddos, I tried. I tried to do it the honest way, and it's like then I'm in like my Breaking Bad arc, right? You're like the Walter White sort of like, well, I tried doing what I needed to do, being a straight-laced, you know, high school chemistry teacher, and then, you know, the world fucked me, and now it's like, now it's game on. It's like, I don't care if I go to prison, I don't care whatever happens, you know, we need to, I got goals. I'm gonna do this before I kick the bucket, and, you know, or whatever. And if that's the way it's gonna be, that's the way it's gonna be. But, there's still time. There's still time. Yeah, your tacos did arrive like yesterday. It's much appreciated. The there was like whatever the founder of Patreon or something like that. He did a TED talk where he was talking about how it's like creators only need like 1,000 true fans, right? If you have 1,000 true fans that are willing to like put up just a small amount of money, like $1 per month or something like that, or like say $5 per month or whatever, then, you know, you can, I guess, live on that, right? Yeah. So to give some context, that would not even come close to replacing the income from my storyboarding work or doing much other than pay some like very basic bills around the house. So it's like, when I say it's like, I'm sort of trapped with my own success here, where I'm like, okay, I'm set up now where it's like, I've got all these expenditures, 2 kids, and like a lifestyle that I have to try and do. And it's like, I'm starting simple, but eventually it's like, it would have to be quite something to, I would need like 5,000 true fans sort of forking over tacos for that would be the, so it's like, you know, we've got a ways to go. I think we can get there eventually. It's just sort of like, I need luck with the algorithm. I need consistency, and I need, you know, just don't get canceled in between, I guess, right? I hope so. Yeah. I'm enjoying this too much to just throw in the towel. This is like, it's just good for my soul. If I have any regrets, it's that I didn't start it sooner. I really wish that, knowing how many awesome things that I'm like, and I only become like more like intensely interested in doing more as the project continues, because it's like, you know, the Nausicaa piece I did, you know, I've got it like right here on my wallpaper right here. I've got a vertical monitor. It looks insane. Like I'm so, and like the Metroid and all that stuff. Like I'm so stoked on like how it feels like I'm not I'm not just lying down and taking it, you know what I mean? This is a cool piece because the edginess of like the intensity and the themes, I think will. I have to figure out a better lighting setup because it's like I'm not helping myself. I keep looking at myself and like in the little thumbnail here, and I'm like, I look so old and gross because I'm like neglecting my lighting, and the camera should be over here because this is my bad side, believe it or not. It's like this is the good one. This is the money maker right here. I need to. My wife told me to like rearrange my office, and I'm like, okay, I like the feng shui better, but like this is like my bad side. And if I put the camera over here, it's gonna catch a bunch of like the crap storage I've gotten over here in this corner. So I'm a little I'm flummoxed. I'm flummoxed by it. I wanna. And it's like even like another thing. It's like I don't know, like anything could happen. I could find out I'm like terminally ill tomorrow or something like that. You know, God forbid. But what if this is like your only chance to, you know, speaking hypothetically, but like if you're gonna go for something, like it's like when, you know. I think I mentioned this before, but and this is like classic like max ego situation. I of course Mid-Journey, like those documents got leaked ages ago or months ago or years ago or whatever, but they were like, these are the artists that they were like, yo, they went as far as to just like make a big document list of all the artists that they were going to rip off to steal and like create like Mid-Journey art with. And it was like thousands of artists who were, and these were all, it's like a who's who of like social media, like artists, fan artists, all sorts of stuff. You know, all the faves are in there. And I was like, oh, I was like, well, obviously I'm going to be in it. Like I know some, like my old teacher, Nathan Fowkes, is like heavily prominently like cited as someone who was and with due cause like is you know, upset about the extent to which those guys like perpetrated what they did. And I was like, oh, he's in there. It's like I'm clearly going to be in there. And I went and I looked and I was like, how come I'm not in this document? I'm like, they didn't steal from me? I'm like, don't they know who I am? And it was like, it sounds so absurd, but I was like, I was offended that I wasn't like targeted for stealing my brilliance from. And I realized, because, and again, this is like years ago, or, you know, at least before the stream started and stuff like that. I was like, well, why would that be? Like, don't they know how brilliant I am? Then I was like, no, of course they don't. I'm never making anything that, like, I know I'm doing amazing art, but like, it's an amazing art of it's a project that gets canceled. You know, it's all secret stuff that no one ever sees. Or it's for commercial that like no one's gonna care. No one cares about my storyboard for State Farm or, you know, whatever crazy, silly thing that I'm illustrating, right? You know, and the clients praise it, but like, can I even trust them now? It's like, so one thing that happened is like I would be on a job and I'd see I would on occasions storyboard artists get hired in teams or pairs, and I would be on a job and I would be like, yeah, I would see the other artist's work, and I'd be like, yeah, that art sucks, you know. It's like, my art is better. The director's gonna see it and he's gonna tell them that their art sucks and mine is better. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. And then so we go and we present our artwork and they're like, Max, this is great stuff. Great stuff. Oh, wow. It's really amazing. Looks brilliant. I'm like, yes. And now deliver the death blow to the other artist. And they look at the other artist's work and they're like, wow, this is great stuff. Just really great stuff. And I'm like exploding inside because that wasn't what I expected. I expected the discerning, you know, the capable mind of the brilliant director who knows that I am the best to look at another person's work and tell them that they're crap. You know, you'll never work in this town again, or something like that. And this is actually an accurate, if not unflattering, bit of self-report of like the way I used to be, like as an artist. I wasn't like the generous look to do the right thing kind of person I am now. You know, not a brag situation, just the truth is that I saw myself very, and it was a little bit real, but I saw myself more in competition with other artists that I would encounter than was warranted. And that's just a real slice of how I used to be. And these days I have to reflect that it's different now. We're all sort of in the same battle against the same forces now. The clients probably don't know better, but they're on the road to replacing us with robots, and I need allies the same way everybody else does. So I can't be like you know, that it's like a action cop movie trope where it's like the lone rogue cop, and it's like the chief like tries to put him on a task force. He's like, I work better alone. You know, that's the way I used to be. Now I'm like, okay, task force, let's try and do this, huh? My brush messed up their program. Maybe it would. We'll see. You know, I'm certainly putting out art that is in sufficient numbers that if some unscrupulous AI personality wanted to be unscrupulous about it, there's probably enough where they could attempt to train on my style and generate 1,000 angles of girls looking like this or whatever. There, I'm going to switch the music. We don't need to listen to this for a third time. Let's get back to... I do dig me some Hobbit and Chill. If someone finds a really brilliant Ghibli playlist that is stream friendly, please send it to me. Because the ones that I've been finding, I don't love. I gave them a shot. I know this one is good, and we're gonna probably listen to this one for the duration, because at least it goes on a while. And for me, these are bangers. Let me do a quick email check, make sure my agent isn't like, how come you're not responding? Nope. Sad but true. Sad but true. Nothing pulling me away. Oh, thanks for the follow, the real Infer X. a good enough place to... There, we're gonna do a little bit of what I call like the underscore technique. Where we find little pockets of opportunity to stress the overlap and the sense of depth without adding too much more information. I picked this little bit of tip off of some artist that I found on Twitter a long time ago, back on my first Twitter account. And I'm sure they didn't originate it. I'm seeing it spread everywhere now, and a lot of people are doing it well, and I think the way I do it is better. But basically, find a grayscale image, and then you save like the darkest little black blobs for the last little bits where you need to really just accentuate the depth more. Yeah, the eyes are, I'm pretty satisfied with the, you know, the germ of this. It's under my skin. It's the most important thing. Where it's like, I look at this and I'm like, well, I'm not sleeping till this is done. So I'm picking my kids up at 4:20. So we have an hour and a half. I don't have to finish it before I get the kids. But probably sensible to... sensible to see how far we can get. Definitely went a little heavy-handed with like the scrapes and the bumps, but I'll we'll make sure none of that is none of that's permanent. Yeah, Donald's gonna say something like, I think she should be a little bit turned closer to camera, or something like that. This is feeling good. this little back section needs a little something to, like, break it up. There we go. This resemble one of my old girlfriends. Definitely had the wild eyes. She needs one of these. Let me do a quick save. Everybody save your work. The one thing, alright, I just feel like those leaves in the background might work better than a white one in terms of, I don't know, vibe. Those leaves in the back? Oh, okay, so like instead of the fur, you mean? Like the wall of fur? I kind of actually agree with you. I think the texture of the fur that she's wearing against the texture of fur as a background is a little too one note. Yeah. No, I think that's right. Yeah. No, and that's what is the right call, I think. I think it's, you know, see you do listen. But it's like that's not necessarily something I feel like I taught you. It's just sort of like I think a lot of what I try to say is our hearts kind of have the right instinct for what art needs, but then like our minds tend to suppress that. Unraveling why our minds suppress it is part of like how we continue our own self-studies, right? It's like it's telling me that something's wrong, but the reason I'm not fixing the right thing is because the right thing is hard and I don't know how to fix it. If I did know how to fix it, I would fix it. So instead of fixing the right thing, I'm going to fix something else instead and see if that makes it better. And that's so people end up going in circles on stuff. Thanks, man. I will try to notice the whys if I feel them. Maybe ask you. Yeah, I think it's important to be like. That would definitely be something I would encourage. It'd be like, I feel, and you've definitely asked that on some of your compositions where you're like, I feel like something's off here and I don't know what it is. And that's like a common question. And the short answer is it's always composition, but like specifically what about the composition? Like what, and it's like you answer ask questions, like what are we trying to do? You know? So I think we are in the kind of we're in a quorum, as it were, about the The idea of replacing wall of fur with sort of abstract forest slash jungle-y, woodsy, wild background. We can save this fur. And then meanwhile, we can something abstract will feel wild if it's done right. And so the question becomes, like, where do we put the white parts of the background versus the dark parts of the background? Well, the whites of her eyes are going to be a little bright. We can accentuate that brightness by putting dark background in near them. Then we just move out from there. Next to a dark background, we need some white. And then next to that white is going to be dark, so we can put some dark here, right? And then next to that, we need some white, right? But then next to that, we need some dark. And then next to that, we can have some bright, which gets us into that corner. By the way, the red on her face with the green of the leaves may also contribute. Oh, that could be cool. She kind of has like a... And it's like, none of that was like hard and fast rules. But like, if I wasn't going to do this pattern of light and dark, I'd probably do the opposite. Where we're like, okay, we need brightness, and then it's the same logic. Brightness, then we need darkness, then we need brightness, then we need darkness, then we need brightness, then we need darkness. They just can still be darker. Overall, I want the background to be dark. And if nothing else, just to provide a bit of contrast to the, like... You know, let's find, like, the thematic opposite to this one, right? Yeah, I think we're on our way. You know, but... Princess Mononoke is not the hero of Princess Mononoke. It's Prince Ashitaka makes the sacrifices. Right? Unless I don't remember it. Like, could be that I'm wrong. Okay. This is about as much drawing as I need, I think, to get there. So let's do some fills. And I like to fill by doing the negative space when I can, because it's less precious for me to think of things that way, and the result is often quite good. Will you try a teensy tiny teeth visible between her lips? It kind of looks like that. Maybe. So, I have an aversion to that at the moment because of the, constant overrepresentation of it in, generative AI. It's just really, really prominently, over-indexed on, like, the Gooner AI art. I know what you're talking about. And I will do that on another piece on another time. But not this one. So as I like to say to my kids, yes, but not today. I don't know what you mean, like, do it subtle. I've done, maybe she already has it a little bit. I mean, just to see if I could indulge you. Yeah. It's going to be a no for this piece, but that's more because it feels like it breaks the theme too much. My Zelda Tears of the Kingdom piece has some of that. I think it's a good way of, like, showing, like, a little vulnerability. Like you said, life or whatever, but, you know. This is about one thing and one thing only. Crazy eyes. Everything else is subordinate. It does not serve the mission of crazy eyes, then it's out. Fucking rad. All right, do we have our eyeballs in the right place? Yes, we do. This is me, like, constantly retreading the same old tired tricks, right? But as you called out, it's like you're kind of using all the same angles again and again and again, and it's true that I am. I'm mining this vein of artistic potential. And then before I get sick of it, I'm going to stop. And then come back to it later. Ooh, Sexter posted something. Ooh, that looks cool. Sexter was working on something cool. I'm looking at it in my tiny watch screen, and it is looking really dope, so... That's always... I can't really see the details, but I can see there's a lot of details, so... No, like, too much is made of, like, concepts like same face syndrome and stuff like that. Sometimes that matters, sometimes it doesn't. Same angle syndrome. It's like, whatever. Okay, so selecting out from the background, we can select those pixels that we just drew, and then invert it. And then that gives us our foreground. And you can see that there's a bunch of like little chunky crumbs, right? Like there was some like messiness, and I did like a sloppy job, but that's on purpose. That gives it character, right? It's the mark of the artist, as my teacher would say. So we'll fill that in like that. Sector was doodling during stream. Looks like more than a doodle. The details are just chaotic doodles. You draw something a certain way, it becomes easier. The second time, you end up doing it again and again and again and again. There's compositions and angles and lights that repeat over and over and over on purpose. But because my brain finds it easy, like we find it pleasing, right? Can't that be enough? I don't think anybody would necessarily accuse me of like doing it the easy way. Like this is quite challenging to do this with no references, and we're essentially suboptimal references and challenging subject matter. Well, listen, that's I'm not necessarily like reaching to continue using lots of the same poses again and again and again and again and again. You can try different things. Deviate from my little Ghibli fascination for a little bit. So it's been a temporary diversion anyway. Hold on. Give me a second. I don't know what happened to my air conditioner, but it's rebelling. It is rebelling against me. My AC likes to pretend that I'm not home and then like set itself to like 80 degrees and then the house just starts heating up. Okay, so I'm going to paint into this a little bit of tonal variation. Oop, that's not the right one. Looks like her eyes are about the same brightness as her earrings. Slightly darker for her fur. These teeth. Oh, I haven't been that bad. But I appreciate you popping in, Sextra. Yeah, if I, any directors who are listening need to get back to work and get back to directing. And hire me for storyboards. All right. Thanks for coming in.
Go back, Sam. Going to Mordor alone. Of course you are. Then I'm coming with you.
Slightly darker is her shirt. Everybody save your work. Now her eyes are kind of dark. They're definitely not blue eyes or anything like that. This armband, some darkness to it. And then
Sam,
his hair is
I'm glad you're with me.
pretty dark. Alright, and now her headband is even darker. So we'll go darker. And my sloppy tonal application is fine because the whole piece is treated that way. Somewhere in the sloppiness, there's like this imaginative license on the part of the viewer to improve what I've drawn. It sort of activates your brain and says, yo, it's time for class participation. What do you see? What do you see in this blob? What do you think is going on in the background? Write a 3-sentence summary and have it ready tomorrow for homework. Maybe a brighter background is better. Let's see. Darker is not bad though. Yeah, I think the dark is cool, and I do want something to like offset the bright airiness of the Nausicaa piece. And it's like all these things can exist in a vacuum. Just because I did one thing doesn't mean I can't do another. That's why this is a vacation for me from the normal work. Is like it's like in a storyboard. You if you're gonna reuse the same shot, you have to have it in the same show or in the same script or whatever. It's essentially it's like you want to treat drawing the same thing twice as like a red flag in storyboarding. Here I can just do whatever I want, make it a theme. Oh, Kasim, welcome. I am seeing one thing. This is something that I keep doing, but I really want to not have too much. See this like chunk of space, like right here? I always feel like I get too round right here. Not in a bad way, but it's not my intention to like. It's like. Better it would be to like have a piece of hair that points back to the eyes or something, right? You know. So otherwise it's like this eyebrow points to this area, but now there's hair that can catch it and throw it back to the eyes. Or you could follow it down here and it points to the lips, you know? It's looking cool from a distance too, look at that. So much of what makes something look good is the readability at a distance. Like if your brain is going to like it close up, it definitely is going to like it far away, right? Oh, from a distance, it looks like she's blowing a gum bubble. Oh, that's funny. You're banned! You're banned! No, just kidding. I can see what you mean. It probably makes sense for me to subtly take down the overall brightness right here. It's like, oh, you have an opinion. That's cute. You're banned. Get out. Get out. It was just a matter of time. Matter of time before you were banned again. Of course, that has to be a badge of honor. I was banned. Max noticed me on stream. Oh my god, could you imagine? Okay, now her little eye, her little face paint makeup, it's pretty dark. Here, so let's see how, let's see what we can get away with. Still want to try and honor my rough application. The face paint may represent their pack of 3, you know? Because it's 3 siblings? No, and then there's the mother. I don't know what that means. Well, maybe she... You never know. What do I know? Light into this. Might be cool to have an interesting application of light happening in this. Let's see if we can play with that a little bit. Kasim asks, do you recommend always painting in grayscale first? Kasim, I'm not sure if you've watched many of my streams, but I have a color blindness that is common and not debilitating, and I see color, except it's also very clear to me that everyone else sees colors very differently, and I have anxiety about it. And I don't have confidence leading with color. I know for a scientific fact that I see different tones of color at entirely different values compared to other people. So it's probably best if I somewhat more over-index on the values first, and then see what color I can get away with. I'm learning about color as this experiment continues. I'm primarily a black and white artist. So while I do want to color this piece, and I will, a lot of the way I'll color this won't be necessarily mind-blowing, right? I hope it makes sense. I'm not confident putting myself out as a color expert. But I don't mind saying I have coloring methods that have consistently good results. Does that make sense? Oh, the stream died. Oh, well, I'm still here. Well, whatever. I think Restream does that. It doesn't love it when the stream goes longer than 3 hours. Yeah, the stream doesn't like it when it goes longer than 3 hours. I think Restream has its I just think the service that's sort of like multi-streaming, handling the multi-stream in the chat, for instance. At least I'm not paying for it, but it poops out after 3 hours. Whatever. I'm here. Just reset if you want to. Let's see if we can find... Can we find an interesting like pattern of light and shadow that like works? Dappled light. This is probably like way out of my pay grade. It doesn't have to be also. I'm just sort of experimenting while we have a minute. It'll have to be a soft pattern, I think. Yeah, it was a question that came out up in the Discord earlier. Kasim, if you feel like it, there's a Discord where you have essentially off-stream access to my my brain for questions. You might already be in it, and I just forgot. It's in the corner. do this. Then I soften it out. I don't dislike that. It's a little more complicated than I think I might have the skill to land quickly. I have no doubt I could handle it with enough time. But let's see here. Finds it hard to correct color. Yeah, once I apply color in like if I put down color and then I start making changes. Well, once the color is there, I lose objectivity on the color very quickly, and I'll just be like, I wouldn't know. Like, it happens enough where my wife is. Oh, there we go. Yeah, welcome to the Discord. That's cool. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I don't necessarily... I can get myself trapped with color, I feel, in ways that I'm like, let me nail some black and white first, and then we'll play. We'll play. I have a long coloring method that works quite well, but it's long. You know, so let's try this. It's quick. Yeah, the eyes could be lighter. I'm going to sort of apply a little bit of light now to the scene. And get away with some bounced light in this scenario. Gosh, we have 20 minutes. So the shadow cast here, I think, is going to be a little bit more... that can be like a hard edge. More of like a hard edge. Because the thing that's casting the shadow is close to the surface it's being cast on. Whereas the leaves from the tree are far away, and so they get blurrier, the cast shadow from those. Something like that. Oh, yeah, you haven't seen the Nausicaa. Kasim, you probably asked. If you're not on social media, you know, you'll find those links in the, you know, bust this out for any lurkers. Yeah, I just did this... whatever, Friday last week. It's because work is slow right now, so I'm like, fucking crank out some masterpieces, right? Pardon my French. But it's like, if I don't do something, like, I'm going to go insane, and I'm already like I already did way too much drinking yesterday, and frankly, this morning. You know, it's like I'm drinking water now. I'm being productive. You know, you need to have moments to appease the dark side, and then just like, okay, now let's redeem ourselves, right? We can wallow in a little self-pity, and then it's time to find our way out of the cave of darkness, or something, you know, whatever the analogy would be. You're bashing your head against a drawing. In the Discord, you'll find it's a nice place to share art if you feel like doing that. And if you don't feel like sharing, you can be like Donald and comment on everybody else's art needs improvement. Donald's fixed for a ban. Okay, let me see what I can do about like finding. Oh wow, cool. I'm gonna look at this a little bit more in depth after stream. But thank you for posting. Because I have 20 minutes before I have to pick up my kids. Because that's the end of stream. And I'll keep working on this, but it'll be off stream. And, you know, maybe it'll be done. I'll probably run it past the group, though, first before I declare it finished. I've been known to have a premature... I am not immune to delusions of premature grandeur. And we want to find ways of getting that brightness in the eyes. But not overdone. This is a you know, we don't need... It can be shiny like a diamond, like Sextra says, but we have to find that that motivation first for the light. I don't like just throwing in lights wherever. Until there's no other choice. One thing I'm also pleased about is the genuine appreciation that I'm finding on social media for rough drawings. Like, if the subject is like well depicted in a rough drawing, people still like the shit out of it. They appreciate, like, oh, I can see like a real artist did this, you know? I like seeing the rough. Even my clients say that sometimes. They're like, wow, your rough drawings are amazing. Like, you know, these already look clean. These already look done. You know? And so I have to find my own sort of definition of like, well, when is something done? And like, if I think something's not done, but someone says it's done, then maybe it's done. And then maybe if I have another idea about it, like, no one's stopping me from picking up Nausicaa and working on it more. I mean, I'm not going to, but it's like, if I felt like it, I could do that, you know? Here we can give her hair sort of a greasy feel. So I think it's appropriate. Wild and greasy anime girl, you know? It's a little too sharp.
Whom do you serve?
If I spent my entire career perfecting things to utter perfection and then produced as a result, due to the time constraints of working that way, maybe like 100 masterpieces or something like that. You know, think of how many masterpieces Leonardo da Vinci came up with. Incredible talent, very few masterpieces, like in terms of finished paintings. Endless sketches, and like the world prizes him what? Probably more for his sketches than his paintings. Yes, his paintings are masterpieces and all that, but like the genius is something we see more in his sketches and stuff like that. The world has learned to appreciate the work that we see an artist's mind doing, and how that's reflected in. So you can see how I'm getting some brightness in the eye. The concavity of the iris, it has like so it like catches in light on the opposite side that the direction of the light is coming from, right? Like a catcher's mitt. So if the light is bouncing off of her like chest and shiny stuff, it can catch the corner of her iris there. And look how awesome that looks. It doesn't need to be any brighter than that. This could be like a decent bait. I could put out like a really good rough sketch or whatever, and people are like, oh, it looks amazing, you know, it looks almost perfect, like, do you think you'll ever finish it? I'll be like, if you fork over $100, I'll finish it, you know, something like that, right? There could be great utility in having ideas like that. This brush does a great job of sort of naturally, in a natural sense, finding and justifying those highlights in the hair. I have my alarm set for 4:20, just so everybody knows. My watch will tell me it's time to get the kids. I wonder, I know some of you guys don't necessarily have like a great high resolution phone or monitor to watch this on, but do you guys ever look at the marks I make and you'd be like, oh, that's the wrong mark, and then I erase it and you're like, ah, good, he took it. Yeah, I'll finish this if it reaches 500 likes. Not a bad bit of bait. I like it. I did kind of do that with one of my things. I was like, hey, if this gets enough upvotes, I'll post the drawing process. Looks good to you? Are you talking about my art or oh, your own art maybe? Sorry, Danny's in the Discord talking about stuff. Ooh, it does look good. I'm gonna switch it over to a different song that I like. There we go. I'll switch that in a second. I think it does look really good. I'm hesitant to, and you know, I do this on purpose, but like part of me is like, can I sort of erase that little line in the middle of her freaking head? It's now that I don't need it, you know, and I do it on purpose to like bake it in. It's a technique that I do to like make my attitude about the drawings become unprecious. Like if we're gonna break down like the parts of our brains that hold us back and grow. Like, we can't just hold on to the ideas of creating perfection. Like, we have to be willing to like risk and whatnot. And so there's a lot of the construction lines they're faded now, but they're unfortunately baked in. I think they still look great. Let me mess around with a couple more things. Okay, I can use this sort of airbrush, brighten up some of these things. Like here, we have this cutout section where it's a nice silhouette, but I don't need that much contrast there, right? So like we lighten that up a little bit. Light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light again, and then dark. It's a little on the nose. Let me looked better with the darker background, but let's try that again. No. How long has it been? 3.5 hours. I mean, would you call this a 3-hour sketch? I do so much gabbing, you know? It's probably the actual... Oh my God. Here we go. We'll end on this song. It's looking good. A little iterative save. The diagonal line on the left fur bothers you? Here? Sorry. Right here? Shadow should run further left. I mean, like shadows here. We're gonna leave a little bit of that unoptimized. For now. You're not saying anything I'm not saying. I'm not saying I disagree with you. Sometimes I leave that stuff in. We have to right. Too dark. Interesting effect. Too dark. This feels good. Possibly better. Forget one thing. There's also a, this is kind of unfortunate. A little bit of, if I can just erase that out. It's like a little too easy to see through her neck like that. Didn't like that. Oh, this needs fixing. There's going to be more to come. I'll post it in the Discord before I put it out in the world. I'll make sure everybody loves it. Need to make sure. You guys definitely saved my butt last time with that preliminary post. I needed that feedback. I like to do this thing where we sort of get these eyelashes that sort of, like, it's just like this pattern. See that? It's a pattern that goes like that. But I saw my old teacher Nathan Fowkes do it. Just a little bit like that. Not to be overdone. A little bit of to get like at least three in there if I can. They look a little out of place though, so. But essentially you find little reasons to point at the pupil. There we go. Hot local grandpa. You have the knack for turning up at the end of a stream, but I'm afraid I must go get my kids. How do you like it? Yeah, this is Princess Mononoke. I'm glad you're here for the finale. That looks pretty good. Let me, I'm gonna do the 50-50. My little thumbnail action. Hot thumbnail action. Hey everybody, Hot Local Grandpa is a hilarious video game variety streamer doing a lot of Legend of Zelda last time I checked, and a very, very good initial booster of the stream, which I very much appreciate. And it's good to see you again. All right, I gotta go get the kiddos from school. This turned out cool so far, and I'm super stoked on it. I'll post it. I'll colorize it. I'll post it. I'll see if you guys like it, and then